Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May all the peace and blessings of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on all of us. Today being Friday, I want us to look at the female reproductive system. And the structure you are seeing here is the frontal view of the female reproductive system. Before we go to the parts and their function, let's look at the structures of the female reproductive system. Now class, you can see here we have the uterus, and the uterus or the space in which the baby develops. Good. Again we have the ovary. We have the fallopian tube, the site for fertilization. We also have the myometrium, endometrium, the cervical canal. Now class, today I want us to dive and navigate through the structure and functions of the female reproductive system. Now let's look. The first part I'm discussing is the ovary. Where is the location of the ovary? Anatomically, the location of the ovary is on the lower part of the abdomen, below the kidneys. And in our previous lesson, we said that the kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity. And we can see that the ovary being below the kidneys, therefore is located in the abdomen as well. Now, what are the ovaries are held in position by the membranes, and it also gets nourishment through the supply of the ovarian artery, and waste products and carbon dioxide and other waste products are removed by the ovarian vein. Now, what are the functions of the ovary? Quickly. Function number one of the ovary, it produces the egg, that is the ovum. It also produces the female hormones. Let's go to the oviduct. It is a tube with an expanded funnel-shaped opening. Now, this is the fallopian tube. And that is, we say, it is a tube with an expanded, and you can see this is an expanded part, and it ends with an opening. It is a tube with an expanded shaped opening. And we can see that this is the oviduct, or rather the fallopian tube. Good. Now, what is the function of the oviduct? The oviduct is the site for fertilization. And fertilization basically means the fusion of the male nuclei and the female nuclei. And the male nuclei comes from the sperm, while the female nuclei come from the ovum released by the ovary. Now, briefly about what are some of the adaptations of the ovary? We can see that the ovary is lined, the oviduct is lined. The oviduct is lined with cilia, which wafts the egg, or rather the ovum, towards the uterus. The tubal wall of the fallopian tube, or rather the oviduct, have muscular smooth muscles that aids in the movement of the ovum through contraction. When the smooth muscles contract, they aid in the movement of the egg towards the uterus. And we said that the oviduct primarily serves the function of fertilization. Now let's go to the next one, the uterus. Now the uterus, it is also found on the lower part of the abdomen, and it is where the embryo develops. It is this place that the embryo develops. And again, we can say that the ovary, or rather the uterus is capable of expanding as the embryo develops. We say the uterus is capable of expanding as the embryo developed, since it has muscular walls which can expand. And later on, after the giving birth, it is able to return to its original original length, which is about 8 centimeters. Now, muscles are also important. The muscles of the uterus are also important in the expulsion of the fully developed fetus during birth. Now we can see that the uterus has the endometrium to the outside and the myometrium to the inside. Now what is the function of the endometrium which you have outside? Implantation and nourishment of the embryo at its initial stages. Implantation and nourishment of the embryo at its initial stages. Now let's go to the myometrium. The myometrium consists of smooth muscles that contract during labor. The myometrium consists of smooth muscles that contract during labor to expel the fetus, or rather the fully developed fetus, out of the uterus. Now, the uterus again, we say, the uterus again is kept in position by ligament. Now, being kept in position by ligament is again supported by the bladder and muscular flow of the pelvis. We say that the myometrium is being supported by, is being held in position by the ligaments, and it gets support from the bladder as well the muscular flow of the pelvis. Now let's go to the cervix again. The cervix has ring of muscles that separate the uterus from the vagina. Now this is the cervix, right? Now it has ring of muscles, this cervix, that separates this vagina and this uterus. Now what is the function of the cervix? The cervix, I say class, it secretes a bag of mucus that prevents entry of pathogens during pregnancy. And if the cervix secretes a bag of mucus that prevents entry of pathogens during pregnancy, that means it, in a way it is preventing, because the pathogens, they cause diseases, and therefore it can protect diseases through preventing entry of the pathogens which cause diseases. Now class, again, if we go next, we have the vagina. The vagina, class, is the copulatory canal. And by saying the copulatory canal means it is where the male's penis penetrates in a female's body during sexual intercourse. And below the vagina, we have the vulva. We said that within the walls of the vulva, we have vestibular glands. What is the role of this vestibular gland? This vestibular gland, class, releases mucus, which makes the female, releases mucus when the female is sexually aroused, which helps to lubricate the vagina during intercourse. Now class, there is more relationship than the eye can tell between the penis and the vagina. For instance, we said in yesterday's lesson that the penis is an erectile organ when it is sexually aroused. And therefore, the vagina again has muscular walls and lubrications. Now, during intercourse, the penis and the vagina cooperate in which way? The spongy tissue of the penis, once supplied with blood, we say they become erect and hard, able to penetrate into the vagina of the female counterpart, right? On the other hand, the vagina has muscular walls as well, fluids that lubricates it. And therefore, the erectile penis, which is hard, is being accommodated into the vagina by the muscular walls, which now expand to accommodate. And again, inside the vagina, we have a cervical canal, which can accommodate the erectile penis. And therefore, we can see that beside the structure, they are cooperating functionally during sexual intercourse, or rather during copulation. And that is briefly about the female reproductive system. Stay tuned and encourage learners to dive deep into our fascinating biology and mathematical lessons. All the best, be blessed, and stay safe.